now to give you a quick overview of how to use the motion tracker in the solo version of the game. You only use one of the standees for the alien Lifeform. The standee is not moved around on the board. It is only ever moved on the motion tracker. So it's we are displaying its position relative to you, but obviously not its direction. You're spinning around, you're shook up, scared, fighting for your life. There's no way to know how many chambers it's away. For thematic purposes, a range in meters has been provided, but as you can see, it just moves in a straight path towards you. Now, there are a number of junction points on here where you as the player get to make a decision. I covered this slightly in the other one. They provide you with sometimes with a boon, sometimes with a cost. This particular space has both. You have to put a shuttle stairway token on the shuttle, but you get to draw 2 cards. Now, what is the point of this? Well, obviously you're delaying the alien life form getting to you by 1 move. As you can see, if the base start position is here, it takes 2, 4, 6 moves, advances down the track for it to get to you. You have to resolve a conflict if it gets to proximity alert. So by having it move at this particular junction, go that way, you're giving yourself an extra turn. But obviously there you've used up a minute as you've advanced self-destruct. Or here you've gained another turn, but you would have to advance your nerve, so or decrease it, as it were. The red ringed areas show that you can flamethrower the alien then, because it is within range of it, up to say 40 to 60 meters, which is actually the range of a flamethrower, I think, depending on obviously things like bulkhead doors in the way, etc. So that is the point of that. If the alien is moved back up through a card effect or through the flamethrower, it doesn't trigger the spaces on the way back up, so you can't spam the system. The spaces, when you're moving down it, that's when the thing applies, but if it moves it back up, that doesn't work. And clearly if you're moving it back up, the central pathway is the preferred option. Right, so if you move, the alien is moved on to you. Oh, one thing though, from a thematic point of view, we cover this briefly in the rule book, you're not deciding where the alien goes. You're hiding behind a support strut or diving into an adjoining chamber, or a division between chambers, say, or a piece of large machinery relative to your position to the alien. Remember, you're spinning around, etc. So it's not that you're moving the alien, you're just making it more difficult for it to find you. So that is where the junction points come off. As you can see, it's the range relative to you and the alien remains roughly the same. Anyway, that was just a thematic aside. Okay, let's say the alien has advanced all the way up and you haven't flamethrowered it or run out of fuel or what have you, and it gets to a proximity alert. Well, what do? Right, initially you have to do one of the following things or you immediately lose the game. And the options open to you are, I wish I'd have the card arranged beforehand. Anyway, you can play a hide icon. Here we are. Here it is. Dope. The 2 best sources of response to a conflict from the proximity alert are a hide, which is the top icon in here, or using the fire extinguisher. That basically ends the alert and moves the alien back 1 space. So it's close, but there's no conflict resolution. It hasn't found you in one case, or the other one, it doesn't get close enough for a fight because you've fire extinguished it. Right, that's best case. Now here's the other options that you can do. You may either, I've got the cards here for this, you can either shock prod it, you can either run, or use the I don't know, I have that there for explaining for the flamethrower. You can either shock prod, run, harpoon, and that are your only options at the point at which a fight occurs. Now, if you do one of those things, then that's when we go to the conflict resolution. Now, remember, you might have a cup for this, or some sort of cloth bag or that. These, I've put them this way to illustrate what they're like on the other side, so you don't know which is which, but obviously you would have them, if you did have them on the board, you'd have them flipped and randomized. So the idea being, you start with 5 still alive and 1 killed. Clearly, if you shot prod it, run, or harpoon it, you then have to draw one of these. If you draw still alive, you're still alive. Fairly obvious. If you draw killed, that's game over. Okay. If you draw still alive, that's removed, increasing your chance that the next time you have an encounter with the alien, obviously your chances are being decreased. In any of those situations, you move the alien, it retreats 1 space or 2 spaces if you ran away. You don't move, crucially, you don't move your crew token 2 spaces away, because the chamber is assumed to be vast. You're just running away within the chamber, and you've walked around it, avoided it, and that kind of thing. Right, so again, move back, blah, blah, blah. Move back 2 for the other. I think that is all we have. Oh, yes. Oh, the other thing about conflict resolution that you should know is that if you wish to, you may discard 3 cards from your hand, any 3 cards. This is the crew action deck, assuming you got 3 cards. If you wish, we get to this point, the alien moves in, you may then elude the Star Beast. But that's basically a free action that you can do. Bin 3 cards out of your hand into the discard pile, and then you pull out, check through them, because obviously they'd be randomized, check through them and pull out a still alive token. So that's a way, it's an expensive way of not using another resource that you may want to save for another time, but also it's a guarantee that you don't, it's not the game over and you're not killed. If you're playing one of the easier versions of the game, and in the back of the rule book, you can see here, there's one, which one is it? Here, isolation mode. To elude the life form costs you 2 cards instead of 3. So that's an option that you can do. There's about a dozen variants on the back. I say variants, they're rules that you can use to adjust the difficulty of the game, either make it slightly easier or slightly harder. I'm sure as the game is played by more people, they'll come up with their own, so that'll be fun and exciting for me to digest as the months and years go by. Oh, the other thing, right, what you can do, obviously you can't flamethrow the alien unless it's within the red ringed areas that we've already indicated. You can, if you wish, if a crisis card, say here, it says move the alien 2. Instead of moving it 2, you can move it 1. You can reduce it by 1 by discarding a card with a security door on. So that's one way. Or if you've collected some of these survival tokens, you can bin one of those. Again, they're not that easy to come by, but it could be vital, and that's another way of preventing the alien from moving. And who knows how that could be. That could have been a movement that you made. Maybe you managed to quickly shut a valve that stopped it from moving, or you rolled a canister down a corridor. But anyway, you thought on your toes, and by discarding that allows you to prevent the alien from moving for a turn. Okay, and that is the motion tracker board.